The Mass Effect trilogy gets called one of the greatest sci-fi RPG series ever made. That kind of praise usually loses people before it convinces them. So let me tell you what this trilogy actually does that almost nothing else in games does, and then I'll get into where it's going to lose people, so you can decide for yourself. The reason to play Mass Effect, more than anything else, is that it builds a universe at the level of film. And I mean that specifically. Most games build a world by giving you lore documents and hoping you read them. Mass Effect builds one the way Blade Runner does, the way The Expanse does. You learn how the Galactic Council works by being patronized by it. You learn what the Krogan are by watching one stand in a bar and dare anyone to look him in the eye. You learn the politics of the migrant fleet from the way Tali talks about her father. The species feel like species. Their cultures argue with each other the way real cultures do. There's a codex if you want the deep stuff, but you never have to open it. The world reaches you through the characters. 14 years on, this is still rare. Most games with big universes feel like theme parks. Mass Effect feels like a place that existed before you got there. And then there's the character writing. It's doing stuff most games don't even attempt. Squad mates have grammatical fingerprints. One character drops articles and pronouns because he thinks faster than he speaks. Another never says the word I because he's 1,000 programs in one body, and the first time he says it, the scene hits harder than most games manage in their entire runtime. You won't catch any of this on a conscious level. You'll just notice the cast feels real in a way you're not used to. That's why. Then there's the consequence stuff. And I want to be careful here because this gets oversold. The endings of these games mostly land in similar places no matter what you do, but the road there changes. A character you save in the first game shows up in entire missions in the third. Let one die in the second, and they stay dead. Whole sequences play out differently depending on choices you barely remember making. The destination is similar, the journey isn't. And that's enough to make every decision feel like it mattered. If you like videos that don't overhype and go straight into things, please subscribe. Now the parts that won't work for everyone. This is 3 games made between 2007 and 2012, and you can feel that. The first one is the oldest and the slowest. The Legendary Edition cleans up the combat enough that it's playable today, but it's still an old RPG underneath. You're not playing the first game for the moment-to-moment. You're playing it for the universe and the characters. If that doesn't click for you in the first few hours, the rest of the trilogy probably isn't going to either. The second one shifts towards a tighter shooter and loses some of the RPG depth the first one had. It also has a resource gathering thing that's about as boring as it sounds. There's a mod for it on PC. The third leans further towards action and further from RPG. Depending on what you want, that's a plus or a minus. And the whole package is a 100-hour commitment if you play all 3. The middle one is the most consistent, but it only works because the first built the world and the third pays it off. You can't really skip in. It's a trilogy in the real sense of that word. So, if you want a sci-fi universe that holds its own next to the best films and shows and books in the genre, with characters that stay with you and a story that remembers what you did, this is still one of the only things in games that delivers that. Pick it up on sale, give the first game a real shot, and pick a tone for your character and commit to it early. That's the version of this trilogy that actually holds up. If you want fast pacing, modern combat, and a clean ride-through, this isn't it. There are better shooters out there. There are better paced RPGs. The reason to play Mass Effect is the universe and the story, not the moment-to-moment. That's the honest read. For more games you might have missed, check out my videos on Tides of Tomorrow and Pragmata. They're on screen now.